done, just shoot me a text, I'll remote it and just log myself on here.
All right, thanks, Lonnie.
Just to lock the front door when you're done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll drop.
All right, guys.
All right.
Mine, Steve, you?
You guys ready? So open the finance committee, April 5th, 5:30. So basically, we haven't had a chance to really go through all this stuff yet, guys. So I didn't know where you wanted to start. If you want to just go work by board or department by department, or how you want to handle it. If there's anything that stands out to you guys, or you see so far. You know, so obviously we haven't had a chance to really have a meeting since everything's been presented to us.
I think this is taking forever for me to load. I wanted to bring up the budget. I don't know if we can share it.
Yeah, I don't know if I think you can share, if you did the Teams, right, you should be able to jump on and do the shared screen
Well,
on
I'm
that.
trying to, this is taking forever and I'm like logged into work, so I've got to log on to all.
Yeah,
this
of course.
But,
Well, while you do that, I mean, is there anything, other guys, just a general conversations? I mean, really, we haven't had a chance to speak to them really since we've had all these different presentations. Is there anybody else on tonight, or is it just Gene right now, and a guest?
Norm, is Norm here?
we don't,
No, I don't see him.
well, so the main focus should be anything we need to, one, we need to go over the warrant, right? We need to go over all our.
Yep, I have the warrant here.
Two, we need to focus on things that are required for the warrant, budget items that are in front of us. In terms of prioritization, I don't know if there's discussion that we should have about what was discussed at the select board meeting, not last week, but the week after. So the decisions around
What's being funded?
yeah, what's being funded, what's not being funded. I don't know if we want to have a drivers versus. I guess one of my bigger concerns is the rate of increase for the drivers versus revenue,
Yeah, that's something that, yeah.
right? But that's more of a longer term thing. That's not.
Exactly, that's not this cycle of things.
So in this cycle thing, is really about, the funding or not funding of the new asks.
Correct.
Um,
Our level budget, there's our drivers, I think it's like 3.6%, which is broken up healthcare, contract negotiations, and those different types of things.
Yeah.
And then there's like the 1.4% increase in ask, which was like $149,000 worth of things where it was like, we funded the senior center, they funded, I forget how to list it. Yeah, I mean, so basically, I just wanted to make sure that there's nothing else in any of the other budget presentations that any of us saw, or nothing that stood out, really, everything looked pretty straightforward. So I'm just trying to get everybody on that same page first, you know what I mean?
I think so.
Yeah, I didn't see myself anything that stood out as overwhelming.
So in general, I think the information that was provided was, it was good, it was transparent, it was the level of detail I expected.
I agree.
I'd like to get a little more, rigor in terms of how things are gathered in timing. So that we have a proper chance to review stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, right, and just communication about, hey, something is ready or posted. Because I felt like every time we went into a review, either something wasn't up there.
Yeah, no, it's been definitely tough getting stuff.
Yeah.
getting stuff up.
That's my only.
Yep.
you know,
Yeah, I agree.
improvement opportunity.
Yep, communication's always.
Yeah.
Good, for sure. Okay. So overall, then, pretty much everybody here is in agreement that the budget makes sense, the. Go through this here, that's.
We had some questions around the revenue piece of it, right? That we wanted to talk through. There's the cherry sheet. So at the very beginning of the budget season, we had the revenue piece that we didn't really discuss the revenue document, and I think we had some questions around that.
I don't have any notes on that off the top of my head. I know there was some conversation about the fact that that number was moving due to like, income still coming in and things of that nature, like the final budget number, the final absolute number.
Right.
Document. It's a side note, while we're looking at this, did anybody take a look at the upload that one put up that had, I believe it had a bunch of stuff for the fire chief in it? Chief, is that correct? Is that, did I see in the uploads that you're looking at the brush truck, is that what that was? Is that something new? I apologize, I'm not really know.
No, that was, I think, one of the first meetings. I don't know if the finance committee was there or not.
Okay, that sounds new to me. I didn't know about it. Was that an ask for this year? Or?
Yeah, and I put that in with my initial operating budget request as well as the capital request back in the January-ish timeframe.
And then right now, apologize, is that funded by Kim right now, your budget or no?
No, I put it out to the finance team as far as how to potentially fund it. So it's not in the operating expense budget.
All right,
So at this point, it's either a fund through capital stabilization, or I don't know where they're coming, but it's not. I get it. It's putting a lease or a borrowing into next year's budget isn't going to happen.
do you want to just come up and just, I apologize, while these guys are kind of working on the computers and stuff like that, I figured we can work on your time.
Yeah.
Guys, that makes sense?
I think I have something now.
Yeah, I have it on my link, I just didn't print that stuff. I just saw, it looked new to me, so I didn't know if it was something that was presented tonight or what. I haven't.
And no, it's been an item that's been anchored for us. So I'll just, and I think what you were saying is you have the documents that I.
Yeah, I have the documents that you uploaded. I don't have them printed, but I can see them here with them.
So I'll briefly summarize and please take any questions. So when I came here, we had a skid unit on a military truck that was a standard shift only. You guys, I think, at the department could drive top speed of 20 to 25 miles an hour on. We had a pickup truck with a skid unit in the back that when you put water in it or two people in the cab was overweight for riding on the road. So we took that skid unit out of that pickup truck. We took the skid unit off the old military truck and put it onto another military chassis that had a tank on it. The tank had leaks all over. So we've been making do with that 1982 chassis with a really good, the skid unit is a good skid unit, the setup of it. However, we're starting to get a little bit of rust in the base of that skid unit as well. The Mechanicus, we have some leaks in the engine. The Mechanicus is Jad's 1982 engine. It's tired. I suggest if you're out at calls of any length of time that you shut it off. We don't need the engine running to run the pump on the back. It's just separate drive. So I started a couple of years ago going to the Federal Assistance to Firefighters grant, trying to get a grant to replace this truck. The first year we didn't have, I think that was the first year we were beat out, the age. And then 1 year was the age and 1 year was the volume of our calls. We've got a grant request in again in the current cycle. The personnel from FEMA have said they're trying to stop consideration or reduce the consideration of number of calls because small communities like us wouldn't, right. So they're trying to reduce that. It's a very competitive process. I think there was 3 trucks each of the last 2 years that were given to Massachusetts. That's across ambulances, engines, ladders, brush trucks. I've also reached out to Senator Fettman's office this year, just back and forth on some grants, and I mentioned this. They're attempting to put that into the current next year's budget processes, I guess, an earmark, some portion, whether it's all or a portion of it. So we're trying to do the outside funding. One of my concerns is the reality is with today's supply chain issues. There's not, so far, we can't find a chassis. We haven't done a nationwide search yet, but all of the local, they don't have chassis available. And I'm being told Ford, Chevrolet, or GM, and I believe the Dodge stopped taking orders for trucks last November. So now there's a backlog on it. Even if we were to approve this truck on May 1st, I think we're probably looking at 18 to 24 months before we see any potential delivery of this, which just extends that time frame that we're dealing with the 1982 truck. So this is going to have to happen at some point. So with the brush truck is set up for obviously fighting wildland fires. One of my concerns as fire chief is the amount of open space, which is great for the town of Mendon. But as the environment dries out, we get more droughts. It just raises the possibility of a larger fire here. The truck that we're proposing is nearly identical to the truck that the truck committee did on my last employment over in Uxbridge. It was the last truck purchase there. We've talked to them. They like the setup of that truck. There's a couple of things that they wish were different, so we would make that change on this truck. But it's really geared towards carrying enough water that our 2 on-duty people can make a pretty good attack at a brush fire without having to wait for the tanker to come with additional water.
Now, when you talk about brush fires, are we talking about like fires in the woods, or are we talking about fires like in people's houses in the backyard? Like,
No, fire in the woods. In the woods, yeah. We carry a couple lengths of forestry on the other trucks, or 150 feet of the 1.5 inches that we can pull off of a big truck. I don't like to run those trucks out to little campfires in the yard.
that 1982 truck definitely put a fire out at my house.
Yeah, no, I remember before you were living there, right?
Yep, exactly right.
So, but
That's just the case where it didn't work out in the yard.
right, and the size of the skid unit that we have is, I think it's a 600 gallon tank. So it's nice to carry that amount of water on brush trucks, so we don't have to bring multiple vehicles. The brush truck that we would look to get is a 500 gallon brush truck. Does also have pre-connected hand lines, so you have the potential to use it for car fires. If they're out on a call and they go to a larger incident, whether it be a shed or a building fire, they would have the ability to make an attack. The truck is set up to be not specific to brush, but also to be utilized elsewhere. And as a backup, Uxbridge runs it a lot on fire alarm in a house going off with the homeowner there, no smoke or fire. Rather than taking a big truck out, they're running a smaller truck out. So it's a pretty multi-purpose truck. The financing is always the difficult part. I think I uploaded a document that just had some lease quotes.
I saw that. So these quotes and what the truck is like budget around 70.
Yeah, the quotes that are in there, I think, put it at about 150, but the chassis estimates, well, I'm sorry, the chassis, we don't know. They're saying, I'm not giving you a firm price until you place the order and we know we can order it. And then, so the manufacturer of that brush truck is out of Canada. We get the chassis, the truck goes up to Canada and they build the box on the back. That box on the back, when we did it over in Uxbridge, was around $70,000, maybe $80,000. January or late last year, they gave me a quote, and it was like $84,000. They came back with another quote that is, or it was in the nineties, it's now over 100,000.
Everything's gone up 30% last year.
Right, so the current estimate from February was roughly 150,000. I put it at 170 for any installation that may happen as well.
Okay, that's what I saw figured.
Yeah, I need a few $1,000s for radios too. We'll have to do the installation and that kind of stuff.
Just while we're talking, what's the chances of getting, while you're trying to get the grants and these things, does it make sense to try to budget for an alternate chassis, like a used chassis you put your skid on now? Or does that not make sense? That kind of.
Used vehicles are pretty
Oh, 100%.
pricey.
Yeah, it's not, nothing
Yeah.
cheap.
We could look at that. and see.
I don't know, I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, this particular, the bed, if you will, or the whole setup, it's heavier than what would be on a F-550.
Is it,
So-
yeah, you're limited, you're limited to like something like 650.
Right.
That's
The chassis that we had used to carry a tanker, and I believe it was a 3,000 gallon tank on that. So,
it's wicked heavy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just afraid by the time we put that unit on with 600 gallons of water, we'd have to have a pretty heavy.
Yeah, you'd be in the upside.
chassis.
Do you guys have any other questions about that, or good to get educated?
Yeah, no, the only thing, similar to what you mentioned is that between now and May, I'm curious what the price increase will, I mean, prices are.
Well, I just can't wait for the recession.
Yeah, and, well, the optimistic part of me says maybe later this year into next year, we start to see price dropping as they get the chips in order to start putting them into these vehicles, and then you're gonna get a flood of vehicles out. It's just how much of a backlog is there when that flood comes out. Like I said, they haven't been taking chassis orders since November. So there's 5 or 6 months right there of backlogs happening. I know the police chief was considering Tahoes for vehicle replacement. He was told they couldn't get them for 2 more years before he'd be able to get them. So, and that's why I try to put this forward now, especially is that if we can get at least the funding appropriated, and then we can do, well, I mean, I wouldn't care if I drove out to Indiana to pick up a chassis and try to back and go looking for it. Not gonna be set on a red one. If we can get a white or a black one or whatever, that would look good with the red body. So, but I can't do anything until the funding's appropriate.
I think this is something that needs to be done.
It is the last vehicle, I should say it's the last vehicle. So this is what we did, when I came here, we put together a plan for vehicle replacement. So at the time, we had a 25-year-old engine, a 20-year-old engine. The brush trucks were back, as I had already said. We had an ambulance that was 10 years old and rotting away. So we bought an ambulance on a 7-year lease with the intent that every 7 years, we're going to replace that ambulance, because that's roughly the lifespan. That's built into the operating budget of the fire department. We just replaced the fire engine a year and a half ago with an 8-year lease, because we have 2 engines and a tanker. NFPA says after 25 years, an engine really doesn't get counted as an engine anymore for insurance rating purposes. A lot of places replace them after 15 years. We don't run ours that much after replace every 15 years. But by those 3 vehicles with an 8-year lease, it's every 24 years we're replacing those 3 vehicles. So we've got a good rotation process built into the operating budget already. This is just a loan vehicle, which probably has a 20 to 25-year life cycle on it, which is why I would advocate one-time funds if they're available versus putting a $20,000 to $30,000 a year payment to the operating expense for 5 to 7 years. The lease person said it'll be tough to get a 10-year lease on that type of vehicle through, so you're probably looking at 7 years.
Yeah, if they choose to lease it up. As opposed to paying for it, it's one time money.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Chief, there's a couple questions. Thanks for laying this all out for us. So the all-in is 170? Is it?
Yeah, current estimate, and in fairness, is 150, but I built that cushion in because I don't know this.
Understood, understood. And then, is there, a position on this vis-a-vis the Board of Selectmen as yet, or they've yet to weigh in? I just want to make sure.
I have not heard back
Either way.
on any of the capital. They put the article onto the warrant, so that tells me they may support it.
And how about with respect to the capital planning committee, we just this seems to qualify depending upon the funding
Right.
route, here?
So I checked with the town administrator about for the capital planning committee, and I guess it may not be a capital planning committee right now.
Don't believe so.
So I have not gone before capital planning committee this year.
Thank you.
Chief, do you know what article it is, or?
It's Article 10, I believe.
Article 10.
It is? Oh, okay, it's got no value. I was looking for it.
I will also note too that Article 9 is a return of money from the purchase of engine 2. So when I talk about that cushion, I will return the money.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was like $4,600 or something like
I'm
that.
not gonna go out and buy a lot. We have all the equipment that we need for this truck.
Yes.
So we shouldn't have to buy equipment over and above the cost of the truck.
I agree on the need here. I see the chief, really appreciate your efforts to find alternative ways of funding this as well, but I know you don't come lightly on budget items without dotting all the i's and crossing the t's and looking for numbers, being creative.
Is there any additional value in the truck or the skid that you have to be sold? The fact that once you get the new truck in, does that have any value to be sold? Is that something to hang on to?
It is something that we could put out for auction. We did that, and we got the new engine a year and a half ago. We put the 1993 engine out for bid on municipal bid. It's got to go at auction.
Sure.
So we got, I think it was $3,700 for that engine 4. If we get the federal grant, we cannot do that because the federal grant says you agree you will not use this truck, this vehicle as a fire truck again, because it's got safety issues. I mean, just from a seatbelt perspective, your lap belts.
Right, no, right. I wasn't speaking about the truck. I just meant like, I know you said the skid was pretty decent, so I just didn't know if that.
Oh, yeah, the skid, we could take it out. It's the same problem of having a chassis.
Just somebody to put it on.
Right.
So it's got no real value.
You
That's
almost
all.
have to get a military. I mean, what I might do is go to, what I could do is go to, forest fire warden for this district through DCR. They take care of the excess property from the federal government. So if he's able to find a chassis, and he's maybe able to make that work for a town that doesn't, yeah, and typically that's more out west.
I don't have any additional questions to you guys.
So 180,000 pretty much is what we do then.
170 is one forward.
I penciled it up today, and I think it was $4,600 coming back sheet. Is that what it was?
Yeah, roughly 46, somewhere around 40, 45, 46. I think.
Article 9. Yeah, $4,136.
Yep.
That's awesome. So, all those in favor of Article 9? Motion drawn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Article 9,
Guys, I didn't hear
Article 10, excuse me. Yep,
who made the motion and who
Um,
seconded it.
Mike Krager made the motion. I
Yeah.
believe. I'm sorry,
All right,
I'll second it, I second it.
okay, all right.
so Article 9 is pretty straightforward, same thing, that's a return of funds. Get that out of the way. So motion for Article.
Well, we just did 9.
There was-
Yeah, I was thinking it was 10, so we did 9 on the book, so we'll do 10, yeah, even though I was thinking of 10. So Article 10, which is the appropriation of $170,000, the brush truck.
So I make a motion to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate borrow or transfer from available funds for the purchase and lease of brush fire truck, and further that the select board to authorize to accept any federal or state funds or grants and or gifts from any kind of purposes acquisition or act to do anything in relation thereto.
Awesome. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief, I appreciate it.
You done with budget stuff?
For you guys, for you, yeah, I appreciate you coming, that was great, so.
Have a good night.
Thank you, guys. On the articles, if we can keep going.
Yeah, we should just
Yeah, for sure.
start from the top.
Yeah, I agree.
So we need to vote on each one that is a FinCom related.
Yeah, correct. I believe we vote on every article that has financial implication. I believe, so. And we have no one here to tell us different.
Well, works for me.
Yep. We will fake it till we make it. So Article 1, to see the town vote that any motion or addendum to increase the monetary articles or lines as proposed by the FinCom presented to the town budget shall be out of order unless motioned or addendums states that the source of funding being available from free cash or the line or the article that will be reduced by the same amount to act or do anything in relation thereto.
Second.
So since I can't read anybody's lips from here, we gonna could we possibly have one person make the motion, another person second it?
Sure.
Sure.
Would that bother you guys at all?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Procedure is the chairman make the motion?
Typically, what I've been told in a situation like this, unless there's a tie, which there can't be right now, I would vote.
Right. But you make the motion?
So yeah, I guess I was gonna read the article, and
Okay.
then I'm looking for someone to then make the motion,
Make the motion.
then look for
And
someone to second it. And then we do discussion if there's any discussion, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Jeff, probably let me see the
Chair,
text,
I
please.
think that's the way to proceed, so if it's okay with you, Mike, I think. Motion, and then second as we go.
Yep.
Open it up for discussion,
Discussion.
right?
Yep.
And then you take the vote, and as you point out, Mr. Chair, I don't think it would be necessary for you to jump in, perhaps unless there's some abstention or something like that. Which results.
Which is
topic like that.
That's exactly.
This, for the, okay to discuss this one briefly?
Yeah, please.
This one here, I think this is, as you may, this is just a traditional article typically read by the chair of the finance committee or a motion made by the chair of the finance committee. At the outset, it's a bit of a level set for anyone who wants to come forward and propose a change. For example, in the budget, they must do so with a source of funding for where that's gonna, how that's gonna be accomplished, or it's gonna be ruled out of order. So hypothetically, someone could come in, move to spend an additional $1 million on fill in the blank without taking that from another section of the budget. If you-
Okay.
So that, this is, I think, fairly routine article.
Okay, that's, I appreciate the clarification. So I read it 3 times at home and wasn't sure what it exactly meant. So I appreciate that.
Sure.
So we have for Article 1, do we have a motion?
So I make a motion for the FinCom to
Accept Article 1.
accept Article 1.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion beyond that?
Who seconded him? Art?
Yep.
Okay,
Rob,
Ron-
Just say your
Ron-
name, say Art Seconds or something like
Ron-
that. Because
Ron-
what
Ron
happens
sec-
is the camera isn't focusing on you, so I can't tell by your voices.
So Gene, Mike Jones will read the article.
Okay,
Mike Prager will make the motion
perfect.
and Ron Z will second.
Okay, all right.
Fix these.
we're killing it.
So
And Jack will tell us what we're doing right now.
Jack will tell you, Jack will keep us in check.
it's.
Poor Jack, Jack, are you gonna feel left out?
Not at all.
No, he's,
Not at all. I was gonna say he could second it if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm. So I think we have a motion for favorable recommendation here. And all those in favor?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Article 2. To fix the state of compensation for the elected officials for the town to take any other action in relation thereto.
Make a motion for FinCom to accept Article 2.
I'll second it.
Let me just say one thing from previous years. What we're doing is making a recommendation that the town vote to accept.
Okay.
I make a motion.
Jack, are you agreeing
Um,
on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Town
Gee.
vote to, we recommend that the town vote to accept it.
You recommend.
I make a motion that the FinCom recommends the town to vote to accept Article 2.
Okay,
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that? Salaries and compensation for elected officials, town can take any other action. Jack, you?
No, nothing further. And this is just for the narrow band of the elected officials.
Okay, yep, exactly. Yep.
Narrow band.
Yep, so this is elected officials. only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Article 3, to determine the sums, or to determine what sums of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate and or transfer from available funds to defray charges and expenses of the town, including debt and interest, and to provide for the reserve fund for the ensuing financial or fiscal year, or act to do anything in relation thereof.
I make a motion for the town to recommend that the town vote for Article 3.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on this? I don't have it. I know that, you know, from what I can understand is that, at least I think I'll say, Jack, is that Kim will be giving us the locations of where that, like, she's as raised and appropriate, and I believe that means that she hasn't selected the
Right.
location money is coming from. Is that correct?
yes. She'll write up the motions for you as they're supposed to be read and tell you
So I-
where it's coming from and how much.
So since we're putting this whole puzzle together backwards, should we not be voting on these if we don't know where the money's coming from?
She gave us that, the list of the articles, didn't she?
Yeah, and it just says raise and appropriate. I just want to make sure we're doing it right. That's all.
No, didn't she give us a list that told us where the monies were coming from? That's what she usually does.
Yeah, a couple of them look like they're still missing. So I've got raise and appropriate on like the next 4. Source name, which is probably fine. I'm just asking the question. It's not going to hurt us. I don't think if we agree that we should at least fund the article. See that as well, guys? So on article, for example, 3, the one we read, the source name for the funding of that is raise and appropriate. 5 is the same, 6 is the same, 7 is the same. But then it gets into like Article 9, it's free cash. And then we voted on with capital expenditures. 11 is free cash, stabilization. You guys see that as well?
Yep, looking right now.
Jack, do you have any thoughts on that? I just want to make sure we're not making a mistake. I apologize for the delay.
No, perfectly, questions here. I believe what this article is referring to is essentially the spreadsheets that Ken has put together, right? So the idea being here that the determine some of the money the town is going to vote to raise and appropriate, that is from available sources, right? So the idea being, this was the discussion around essentially putting the budget in balance that we
This
discussed.
is one of those last minute components.
This is what we had discussed during the last session. You may remember Kim was describing sort of budget drivers.
Yes.
Of course.
Yep.
And this is those budget drivers, in essence, a description of the items that may recall were, I believe that the very clear in the spreadsheet designed to inform us about effectively what the net changes over the last year would be.
Yeah.
So, for example, additional funds from to fund the schools, for example.
Yep.
Additional funds to fund the Worcester County retirement that we had to deal with, additional funds for healthcare to drive.
Those are the drivers, yeah.
Right.
So it's the funding.
But this is, I believe here, and by the way, in advance of the town meeting, you know, typically we would meet. Right now, we've got the town meeting scheduled for May 6th. May 6th, town meeting, 7 PM. My recommendation, Mr. Chairman, would be that you convene a meeting, this committee, in advance of the town meeting, so we could take care of any last minute sort of
So we should make a meeting for like 6 o'clock
Exactly,
at that location.
exactly, that we need to attend to.
Yep.
Gene, that's in keeping with what we would ordinarily do. is
Yes,
have
it is.
that
Yep.
as, sometimes there's some language issues, sometimes there's some last minute changes, for example, inevitably
Yes.
crop up, so.
So when I post that meeting, I will post it for 6 o'clock for us.
That would be perfect.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So I think, Mr. Chair, to put it, to put it bluntly, I think that, you know, any of the actions that we're taking on money articles this evening, we could certainly revisit any of them.
Okay.
On a motion to reconsider prior to the.
Prior to our
next
town
meeting.
meeting. Okay, so if something needs to change, we're good.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Just make sure we weren't casting the stone, we couldn't pull back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask
Awesome.
a question? I'm raising my hand. Have we decided when we're gonna have the FinCom hearing?
I'm supposed to have a conversation with Kim tomorrow and go over these warrants a little bit more in depthly. And then I was gonna get a letter written and then, yes, we're gonna have like a formal, what was it called again?
So it's called a FinCom
Hearing.
hearing, and we go through the whole warrant, just like we would at the town meeting.
it's
And have anybody who wants to hold anything from the audience. And we, at that point, we can address it at that meeting. But it's
Oh.
actually a legal thing that you have to do, right, Jack?
That's
It is.
correct.
You
Yeah,
have
that's-
to have a FinCom hearing.
This is an opportunity, for example, for a member of the public to come forward and be heard. It's an opportunity to be heard on any article in advance.
And we usually have that the last week in April.
We should book that now as well, because I know from just trying to book this meeting, it was very busy. So I don't know if that's, I'm not sure what the schedule looks like then, but we should lock in a time.
We'd be waiting to vote on these things until we've had that hearing?
Um,
I think I don't know.
No.
Jack, I've got my own idea.
I think we vote on them ahead of time. And then, and then at the
Oh,
hearing, it's like a mock annual town meeting for us. And people actually come and sit in the audience and ask questions.
Okay.
So we really don't have much time. We have either the 20th or the 27th.
I'm gonna check my travel agent. Amanda,
You're good both days.
I'm good both days. I'm good both.
I am,
You might not be here, actually.
Wait, what?
20th, you're not probably gonna be here.
The 20th, I'm not here.
The 27th is the day before, so you're fine.
Is that the day I get back from Pennsylvania?
Okay, cool.
So the 27th works for me.
The 27th?
27th, I can.
That work for you guys? Okay, yeah, so let's book that for the 27th.
Okay,
And that's like 7 o'clock. We do that? Is that a standard time for that?
yep, at the town hall.
And that has to get advertised too, right? Or,
No, it just has to be, it just has to be posted.
okay, just posted. I didn't know if it had anything special beyond that.
No, I don't think so. I haven't in the past. 7 PM you want,
That works.
and we won't do that virtual. We'll be in person,
Perfect.
for us at least.
Yeah. And just keep in mind, everybody, we do have a hard stop at 7 o'clock. So just so everybody knows. So we won't get all through these tonight. So while we're on the topic of meetings, do we book another meeting to finish this? Because looking at the time, we're not going to get through all of these today. So I don't know what schedule is left.
You want to do the 20th, which is next week?
We can do the 20.
Wait, what, no, we got 2 weeks, 13, 20, and 27, if you want to stick with Wednesdays. Otherwise, Tuesday, whatever you want.
I would prefer Tuesday, the 12th at like 6:30.
Let's do it.
Okay,
Next Tuesday,
Yeah, next Tuesday at 6:30.
6:30?
Yeah, she's gonna post on it. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Yep.
okay, and now we'll call that to review the warrant.
Yeah, completion of the warrant. Yeah. Feel good, the pressure's off now.
Okay, the 12th and the 27th.
All right, good deal. All right, so I believe if I picked up where we left off, we were discussing, Jack gave us some information. So I'm satisfied with that information. Is everybody else? Okay. All those in favor of Article 3?
Aye.
Passes. Okay. Article 4. To see if the town will vote to appropriate funds to provide the town by the Commonwealth pursuant to so-called Chapter 90 monies, type monies, and such other funds as the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Transportation, including its highway divisions, may provide, and to authorize the select board to enter into contracts with the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, including the highway divisions, for so-called Chapter 90 type monies, such as funds allocated to the town or act or do anything in relation thereof.
I make a motion for FinCom to recommend to the town to approve Article.
I second it.
Any discussion on that?
Again, gentlemen, this is a routine article that we base on an annual basis to that forms a portion of our budget with respect to highway surveyor and enables the highway surveyor to the town to make necessary repairs, to make capital improvements to roads and so this enables us to basically access.
Okay, that makes sense. All those in favor of Article 4?
Aye.
Article 5. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and or transfer available sources and sums of money to fund the FY23 portion of the assessor's cyclical inspection program or act or do anything in relation thereof. $6,500 is the amount and it's appropriate.
Make a motion for FinCom to recommend to the town to approve Article 5.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on this item?
Yeah, high level, obviously the assessors. Have, yeah, the task of determining what the appropriate tax rate is going to be based on. the
Yeah,
assessments.
if I remember from her presentation, wasn't she bringing somebody additional on to help them in that? Is that what that was?
This is all in connection with the assessor's responsibility to see that the appropriate funds are raised up against the property that is subject to the taxation in town. So this is simply, at least my recollection is simply in order to help the assessors accomplish their job.
Makes sense. All those in favor of Article 5?
Aye.
Article 6, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and or transfer available funds of a sum of money to fund the Y-23 portion of the updated valuation account or act to do anything in relation to $17,000 and it's raised and appropriate.
Make a motion for the FinCom to recommend to the town to approve Article 6.
I second it.
Any discussion on this?
I don't remember exactly what this one is.
I don't know exactly what the evaluation account is. Jack, do you have a little bit more information on that?
Yeah, high level, Jens, I believe this is actually accounting function, the update valuation account. It's accounting function is to when funds are raised, where those funds ultimately end up. So again, this is a routine article.
All those in favor of Article 6?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and or transfer a sum of money from available funds for police department, state, federal, general matching grants or act or do anything in relation to $2,500 raising.
Make a motion for the FinCom to recommend to the town to approve Article 7.
I second it.
Any discussion on this?
Yeah, again, this is a routine in the sense that this permits us to essentially access matching grants, accept money in connection with matching grants.
Okay. All those in favor of Article 7?
Aye.
Aye.
Skipping Articles 9 and 10, there is no Article 8. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds a sum of money for the town hall campus improvements or act or do anything in relation thereof.
Make a motion for the FinCom to recommend to the town to approve Article 11.
I'll second it.
Discussion on this?
Yeah, Jens, I believe part of the materials that we have here
I saw this, they uploaded the,
loaded here, I think the ATM financial articles include the town hall improvement. So,
yeah, I printed this in the spreadsheet, so I have the town hall campus funding. And I'll read these guys too, so it's ATM article free cash is $333,850. ATM article Inman Hill is $119,050. ATM article complete streets is $169,304.16. ATM article police station, $13,457.45. ATM article stabilization, $317,000 even. ATM articles, CPA historic is 56,000. Well and cap improvements are left blank. That pulls it all into a $1,088,661.61 line item. And then then on this document, there's demo, fence and paving for a couple of, there's a 5,000, fencing at 30,000, paving at 20,000. On the other document, they have some sort of a ATM 620, I'm not sure what this is. Document.
Okay, so the way to read this is townhouse campus funding. So each one of these ATM articles
Is money coming in for this campus project?
Okay.
So this is the places where all this money is getting pulled from. For example, that police station, if you remember Kim talking about, is the money left over from the build.
and we are moving out of free cash $33,850.
Yes, yep, so those numbers match here. So we're moving from free cash, 333,850. We're moving from stabilization, 350,000. That's what's on this particular. These are just, I think, additional things. I don't know if on town hall campus funding budget.
Yep. I mean, technically, wouldn't each one of these articles need to be individually accepted before you could accept Article 11?
I don't know the answer to that. I thought the exact same thing. I don't know the answer to that because it's doubled up. But I don't know. Jack, do you have any thought on that? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I think Mike's point is a very good one. I guess my recommendation would be is that all the articles that are associated with the town hall campus improvement be considered, perhaps if the chair will entertain it, as just a single motion. The idea being here that these are disparate funding sources all being bundled together.
I got you.
It may make sense to consider those all, together. So I believe, Mr. Chair, that would be a motion to accept Article 11, 12, 13,
Good point, John.
14,
Yeah.
15. I believe that covers it.
I got you. Yeah, you're right. I didn't read ahead on all those, but every one of these is taken off of this spreadsheet. 119,050. 69. Yep. Everything on my falls in line.
So does that cover it, 11 through 16?
Yeah, essentially, I believe it does. Now, Jack,
I'm sorry, 11 through 15.
Well, do 15. Now, is that, Jack, in your experience, is that something that we need to formally read, or is that something we can agree to vote on that grouping? How do we do that?
Well, I think, I think Mike could make a motion to accept Articles 11 through 15, all in connection with the town hall campus improvements.
I agree with that.
So looking at the town hall campus funding spreadsheet, right? So moving $333,850 out of free cash, $119,050 Inman Hill. What is that again?
That's the preservation. But like it's up off of, basically it's up off of, it's the land trust that's up there. So I think is that CPA money, Jack?
Well, there's CPA historic line item here as well, 56,000.
What's the name of it? I forget the name of the conservation. Put five, Jack, what's the name of the conservation fund? Is that what that is? The Inman Hill? So,
Okay, so that's a sale of, okay, that's a sale of
I
property.
believe it's a sale of property that the town had.
Okay. And then complete streets, $169,304.16.
So I don't know if that's I mean, that might be something that was left over from a different budget that she's pulling into this.
Complete streets account.
Jack, does that ring a bell with you, complete streets, as a
Yeah,
former article you may have funded?
yeah, actually on the Inman Hill, I could be wrong. I don't believe that is in connection with the sale of property. I believe what they're describing there is that there's money that is available, right?
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to say.
It had been previously earmarked
that they
in
have.
connection with that roof.
Yeah.
That now is available, becomes available to be spent elsewhere. I think that that's what it's referring to. In other words, it was money that was previously earmarked for a project, but now is now available
I got you.
for this. So but
I don't know the accounting of the Inman Hill accounts. Yes.
well, I mean, the alternative course is for us to reserve on this one. Meeting really.
And I am meeting with her to get more information.
Yeah, and we certainly do.
So
that.
I can gather this and I'll give a better description of each of these accounts and what the situation is. And then what I'll do is I will send everyone an email so that they're brought up to speed on it, so that when we discuss it next time, you'll all be in the same place I am.
Yeah, and my recollection from the discussion was this has been coming together to figure out each one of these line items. And sure, I don't believe we've been provided the level of detail we need in order to vote on this yet. My opinion. So,
No, that's fine.
I like the approach.
Yeah, so we'll pass on this one to we better understand where the money is coming from. And I think we should review the documents that she sent over, because I look at the site plan, I didn't have a chance to really get involved deep in it, but I think there's a whole thing that kind of describes what they're trying to do. So I think at this point right now, we're gonna hold on voting on Article 11 through 15. Just because we're looking for a little bit of additional information, and I will work on my side to get that information for us. And then, like I said, I'll send an email based on our.
And Mr. Chair, perhaps, Kim, come to the next meeting, just sort of step us through.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if it gets complicated, if it isn't super simple, I'll definitely do that.
And it may be that there's a great opportunity there, it seems to me, too, that if you could sort of step us through the various component parts of this. I know that the committee had previously expressed some concerns about, the appearance of the town hall itself and the need for.
I definitely think it's an urgent matter for us to definitely appropriate this money so that anything can start, because without any money, it's going to continue to look exactly like it looks.
Yeah.
So there's definitely an urgency to get this, figured out and pushed along.
Yeah, the hesitancy is not whether it should be done or not. The hesitancy is just making sure we clarify where the monies are coming.
I totally agree. I totally agree, because I don't know. I honestly can't tell you, so I totally agree with you. All right, that makes sense on that, so we'll hold on that. So Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise an appropriate and or transfer the available funds and sums of money to operate the water enterprise fund or act to do anything in relation thereof. No value figure. Less than $25,000 is kind of askew. Maybe I'll see that way. Kind of like drifted past Article 14.
Looking at the Excel spreadsheet and the 25,000.
It's for 15.
Looks like it lines up kind of with 15.
Yeah, there's a month.
33,457 lines up with 15.
Yep, I agree. So there's no value on this, but that's probably back to what we were saying before. Price what you're raising appropriately. We have a motion on. I think we can hold on this one to get a little bit more information. I think we can really vote on it. After I've read it out, don't you guys agree?
I agree.
Hold. Okay, Article 17. See the vote, town will vote to set limits. Just with the limit of the revolving funds accounts in accordance with MGLC 53E and .5 as follows, or act to do anything in relation. And it's revolving accounts for library, planning board, highway, conservation, fire, Title V, and police department. I believe it's going from 150,000 to 165. It was not on my spreadsheet. Is that correct? You guys see it that way?
Yeah, they have in the comments limits on spending details for each one of these.
Okay, I must not have printed that far.
So I'll read through them. So the limits on spending, library, 6,000, planning board, 30,000, highway, 5,000, conservation commission, 25,000, parks, 165,000, an increase from 150, fire department, 10,000, Title V, Board of Health, 25,000, and police department, 15,000. I make a motion to have the FinCom recommend to the town to approve Article 7.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on this, guys?
Gents, on this one here, you may remember, among others, the police chief described how to modify the charges. Vehicles
Yes.
and vehicles being used, for example, in connection with, for example, utility work and the like. So the idea is that this, again, revolving funds, and I believe too, we also heard from, I believe it was last year, heard from a parks department on this one as well, on, for example, income that the parks department, for example, be garnering, again, from recollection, the community use type of fees, for example, that would be collected.
Yes.
This would enable fees, fire department, for the fee structure to maintain those fees, and then we're simply, I believe, okaying the limit on spending for each one of these departments, depending upon the fees that they garner from the various sources within the town.
Okay, that makes sense. Any other discussion on this?
I'm sorry, Jack, the parks piece,
I think you said it might be last year.
Yeah, I believe the discussion
Yeah.
was last year.
Oh, okay.
I'll do my best to sort of summarize, but my recollection is that Dan Byer presented to the committee in connection with, for example, fees that are garnered, use of the parks by, for example, where they charge a fee to the organization, for example, for the use of the parks. And there are also, for example, summer programs and the like.
this is limits on amount of money going into the revolving fund,
Yeah.
not out of the revolving fund. Right?
Well, we're actually voting on limits on spending.
What they're able to spend in.
These are the limits on the spending.
So what can be, I think it's what can be in their revolving account. Like if any more was in there, they'd have to kick it back. Right. Or spend. I guess their revolving.
Oh, there he is.
So
You
that
can
was
check my recollection.
yeah, well, so I guess higher level, the way these revolving accounts work, there's no limit on the balance. You can have $1 billion in the account. There's a limit on how much you can spend annually. So that's what this limit is saying. I think the balance in the account is like $30,000 right now.
I guess so. It's
There was an old account with it under a different set of rules that the state, all that has changed. So this is everything to do with it's the snack shack, the field use, and the summer program. And basically what that number is the payroll.
Okay, so that basically this account is annual spending in this revolving account that they have.
Yeah, it's like almost, I think we're up almost $150,000 in revenue just in and out for the camp. And then
Okay,
there's a small profit that stays, but most of it's in and right back out.
okay, and that's why we pay it out of the revolving fund, because all those salaries are based off of the income through.
Yeah, the idea is to kind of keep everything in one place, so you can see that it's part of one thing. And also because we bridge the fiscal year, it makes a mess.
Yeah, that makes sense. So all those in favor of Article 17? Dan, thank you. Okay, so jumping to Article 22, by way of the spreadsheet. See if the town will vote to transfer some of the money from the community preservation affordable housing account to renew the position of the part-time affordable housing counselor for the FY 23 LOR Act to do anything in relation thereto. It's $20,000 CPC affordable housing.
Make a motion for FinCom to recommend to the town to approve Article 22.
I second it.
Any discussion, guys?
Actually,
And
right, and perhaps Ann maybe want to address this.
Yeah.
we talked about the affordable housing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an annual position that we fund, it's part-time.
Okay. And this is for an additional part-time, correct?
No, this is an addition, this is just what we funded for several years to
Okay.
work on the affordable housing. And this all comes from the community preservation account, not out of the budget.
I got you. Yep. Okay, very good. Yep. That makes sense. Good motion on. We do it, motions up.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Article 23, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of money from the community preservation account to fund the Y23 police station debt exclusion or act to do anything in relation to. This is $135,255, again from the CPC fund balance.
I make a motion for FinCom to recommend to the town to approve Article 23.
I'll second it.
Discussion on this?
Yeah, again, perhaps Ann.
And do you want to come up and join us?
Sure, not.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it was just, what was the total?
I have $135,255.
That's what I'm seeing on the share.
Right. So it's just to pay part of the police station debt because we can use historic preservation funds, because we reused the fire station.
Okay.
And then added on to it, so every year we're paying, spending out about this amount.
Okay, so that's just a proportion. That's it. Okay, very good. All those in favor of Article 23?
Aye.
Yeah, so Article 23 passes. It's $135,255.
Ask for lower.
I think lower, because I was talking to Jody, because it spans 2 fiscal years, the payments, and so I'll just check on it, and then if it's different, I'll let you
Yeah,
know.
that's fine. Yeah. Less is better. All right, so Article 24, see if the town will set aside for later spending for the Y23 community preservation revenues, 10% for open space, 10% for historical preservation, 10% for affordable housing, 65% budget reserve, and 5% for administration or take any other action in the endeavor.
So every year, we get a levy from the taxpayers, and then we get it matched by the state. And so that amount of money, then we divide up into different categories. And
So that's how that money is spent.
And
And that's what, 5% of our tax budget?
no, it's like 3%,
3%?
and it's not, it's 3% of, it's a levy, so it's not 3% tax, it's 3% of the tax the person pays. And the first 100,000 is not of the real estate. It's like excluded. It's just excluded. So if you had a living house that was cost $100,000, you would pay no CPA tax. So it's just to protect people that might not be able to afford it.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I just think, because I think you do need support the finance. You too.
Yeah, I was absolutely.
You can have a 1% levy, 2%, 3%. And when you do the 3%, you get so much more money from the state because they want towns to like commit and say, we're gonna do this. And so it's not, it's almost exponential when you go to the 3% that you get so much more from the state.
Yeah, you can do one something.
You can also match it. So we do a lot of matching grants, like we're gonna do a project And you can use the CPA funds as matching grants, even though half of it's like state money.
As I say, doubling down. Yeah, you got,
And you're allowed to do
you got 25% in and they're paying something. Makes sense. Okay.
So can we vote on this even though there's no amount?
I can tell you the amount, I do know that. So what I do is, since we're predicting what's gonna come in next year, I look at last year's figures on how much we pulled in and then how much the state gave us. And so that total was $725,857. And so then that number is divided up into the 10%. So the 10% is $72,586.
That'd be for open space, preservation.
And historic and affordable. And then the administrative is 36,203. And then the 65% is 471,800. So 471 PSR.
That's awesome.
Make a motion for the town to, for the FinCom to recommend to the town to approve Article 24.
I second it.
Any discussion on this other than what we already had? Jack, you good? All those in favor of Article 24?
I,
Article 25. To see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of money for the community preservation to fund the renovations at the Mendon Town Beach or act to do anything in relation thereof, 180,000 CPC open space. Did that come under,
It's actually going to come out of the budget reserve account, the CPC budget reserve account, but Dan,
What?
they're talking about the beach.
Okay.
So, and I don't think they have a second total yet, but
was a total of 180,000.
I think it might be more than that.
Yeah, so we were just talking at the meeting tonight about this project, and it looks like the total number is gonna be 250,000.
does that include any sort of building fee again that was discussed in the past, or is that? just-
No, that'll be a
just-
separate project.
Okay.
We'll have to do some work on that and come back in November and the fall, with some plans on what that might look like. This is for the town beach, and I don't know how depth you want to go, it's the landscaping. the
I think we
fencing.
heard about it last meeting,
Yeah.
the select board meeting, you kind of banged it all out with everything that's going on. So why don't we hold on voting on this until we get the actual figure that they're going to discuss tonight? All right, that makes sense. It's so great. All right, so Article 26, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of money for the community preservation account to fund the ADA compliance walkway at the town hall campus area to access the town hall and the Old Taft Library, or to do anything in their relation thereto. So this is another component of the campus project.
Right.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
It is, and it's
Yeah,
coming
we've got
from,
it there.
Okay,
it's coming from CPA because it's historic preservation. We can use ADA funds for historic buildings. And so this is to get into the historic library and then this library. And the total is $56,000.
so since we have Ann here to explain it to us, I feel more comfortable with going through this one.
I agree, because this is almost like an incentive, I'm not mistaken, like a donation. $6,000.
Well, it's from CPA, so it's just transferring from the account. And again, about half of the money is from the state, so it's, great use of CPA funds.
I agree.
I make a motion for FinCom to recommend to the town to approve Article 26.
I second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Article 27, see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of money for the community, from the community preservation account to fund the housing production plan or act to take any relation thereto, sorry. No value on this one.
It's 17,500. Some of these numbers are just guess.
What's that?
I just got this number today. Some of these numbers, they're still coming in,
Sure.
as people are trying to get estimates. So
What is the housing production plan?
well, it relates to like affordable housing, and it's a whole analysis of the housing you have and the income in the area, and then what you want to do to meet the 10% affordable housing. And when you have it, you can apply for grants. And also it helps, like if a 40B is coming in and you're working towards that 10% affordable housing and have a housing production plan, it helps you to not have to
Okay,
go that way. So
so this is a study.
it's like you end up with a report. And so, and our report was done with 2010 census figures, so it's definitely out of date. And, you know, and it's helpful to have, but it's kind of very time consuming and tedious and, a little technical. So that's why the CMRPC will probably be doing the Central Mass Regional Planning.
This isn't a yearly thing, this is a.
No, this is not for years. We wouldn't do this again.
I make a motion for FinCom to recommend to the town to approve.
I second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Article 28, to see if the town will vote to transfer some of the money from the community preservation account to fund records room renovations or act to do anything in relation thereto.
That's, off more, right, Dan? The records room. Is
Um,
off the warrant.
I would triple check with Kathy. I think they're pulling everything, right? Which article is that?
I think we're on 28, Mr. Chair.
Oh, did I say 26?
I think 28 is the survey of Providence Street.
That's probably.
Yes, you got it.
I apologize, maybe I have a different one. I go from 27 to 28 and it's,
That was probably the other.
did it change?
I'm looking at the Excel spreadsheet. Article 28 is the records room.
I just printed this out.
Well, that's not on the final.
All right, so maybe it's been changed then, so.
Yeah, they just.
Okay, so we'll fix that, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so this ATM spreadsheet is dated 4/1/22. I don't know if somebody, if I opened the wrong one.
I don't think so, because it was on that link.
Yeah, it's on.
So maybe just, sure, it's just,
Yeah, the draft I'm looking at is 4/4/22.
Oh, so you've got a PDF. So I'm looking at the Excel spreadsheet that's in the finance department, ATM financial.
This is.
I'm using the one from last.
Probably just.
Yeah,
the
survey.
52 Providence Road.
Okay, so maybe I'm looking at 28. Sure. Okay.
With the hard stuff.
All right.
To see if the town will vote to transfer some of the money from the community preservations account to fund the survey for 52 Providence Street or act to do anything in relation thereto.
Article's up
29.
That's 29.
29. Okay, so that's still 20.
So I've got that as 28, and I've got Article 29, that's a survey from easement of Muddy Brook in Jerome.
So it looks like they can take 28 off and then
Yeah.
plug everything up.
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think, because that's the way the warrant is that Laura sent out today, that the 28, 29 in Providence Street.
So you have the most data. So let's go with per 28. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, we've got, all right, I don't know how, we got conflicting documentation here now, so.
I will say this, on Article 28 and 29, we don't have numbers yet, so we'll get back to you on that.
Let's absolutely punt on this
So
one.
on those two.
Because we've got another meeting and we can get more information.
And we actually got through them all.
We killed it due to the help of the audience.
The help of the audience and
I mean, Amanda had my schedule. So it worked.
So did something happen to the record? Or did it come out?
Well, they have to do an engineering study and they're writing a grant and everything was just, they just couldn't get done in time. Yeah, so they're still intending to do something maybe in November, but then they'll have the engineering study done.
That was a complex little issue there with the amount of space it had. Okay, so guys, just to kind of recap on what we got all the way down through 10, 11 through 15. I'm going to get some more information from Kim when I meet with her tomorrow. We're going to discuss that. And if we need to bring her in after the email, just kind of respond if you guys don't feel like it was enough, you know what I'm saying, just so I have a heads up.
Yep.
And we'll get her to that meeting once you guys have a chance to read that. We held on Article 16. We held on Article 25, which was the,
That was Town Beach.
that was Town Beach, thank you. Yep, thank you.
Possibly the.
Yep, Town Beach, yep. That's exactly right, because that number's gonna change. And then, other than that, it kind of got convoluted after 28, but we'll sort that out at the next meeting.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, fire shop taken care of, and overall, from a budget standpoint, we're pretty comfortable with what's being funded and what's being funded in the process. Any other business you guys want to discuss? We've got our meetings all booked, so we know what that is.
So we have a meeting next week on Tuesday to continue this discussion and possibly bring Kim in for further explanations if we need, or anybody else.
Yep.
And then we have a meeting scheduled on the 27th. That's going to be the FinCom
Hearing, I believe,
FinCom hearing on the 27th.
we'll present these to the town.
Yep.
These will be at what time? They're gonna be posted.
Can I ask a
Uh,
question? Would you guys
course.
rather have the hearing on the 20th, or were you not available then?
I'm not available.
No, I got school vacation week and I
Oh,
think they're
okay.
so.
Good call. I didn't know.
And is
I'll
the
be fine.
Tuesday all right, or would you rather do Tuesday, or the 26th or the 27th?
I'm good with, I'm really good with either, so it makes no difference to me.
Makes no difference.
I think everybody here prefers Tuesdays, correct? That's a better day? I don't know.
I mean, I can make those work. Yeah, 6-1.
Yeah, so which, let's go with the 26th. And then that
26th?
leaves more time in case it's a catastrophe.
26th at 7 PM.
Next week will be the 12th.
Yeah, so 12, 26.
And then what time after 6?
I think it's 7 for the,
7 for the FinCom hearing
Yeah.
and 6:30 for.
and she'll have these posted.
That's fine.
Next
Yeah, sure.
Tuesday, the 12th. Now, do you think by next week Kim will provide us with a spreadsheet so that we have all the numbers?
I'm hoping to. I'm gonna meet her tomorrow, but I also know that she's on vacation, so I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna play into account. But I'll give you guys some information on the meeting that I do have with her. If it pertains to anything else, I'll kind of do a synopsis and
Okay.
get on the same page and
The other very interesting thing that we usually do is we vote on Article 4 on all of this is all the salaries and wages. We
Oh, okay.
usually go line by line and vote them all.
Okay, so, okay, that's great.
We might want to do that on
So
the,
I'd have to revisit that when we get some more updated
go
information.
over that on the 12th maybe, and then it's included in the public hearing.
So that'll be a stone pull.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay.
Yep, and I'm just making a note now that there might be extra information on that. But
Okay.
either way, in the end, at least you've got the information.
Yeah, and if you can email that list out just to say these are the things we're going to do next week.
Yep.
That would be very helpful.
Yes, I can absolutely.
And then after the public hearing is when they usually send the book to print, the FinCom book.
Yes.
Because any changes could take place at the public hearing.
And it's after the public hearing that it goes into.
Yeah. Usually we would do that book the day after the public hearing.
Okay. So the earlier we do it, the better. So the 26th is,
Yeah.
okay, they'll have to get a good printer.
They do it now up in the town hall. I used to do it myself, but I don't have that job anymore, so I don't know who's doing it. Probably Kim is delegating her people to send it to the printer. And I
Maybe.
guess they have it match the town report at that point.
You just validate with Kim that that's an acceptable time.
I will, I definitely will. If there's a problem with it, we'll address it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
You adjourn. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Jane.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
I'm gonna sign off.
Forget to stop recording first.
Yep, do that right now. And there's another meeting coming in there, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, well, who signed into the computer?
It's me.
Oh, Lonnie's there?
Yeah, Lonnie's here.
Can I sign off, Lonnie?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay,
I'll clean it up. Hold on, I'll stop the recording.
okay.
I already signed into it.